Dearest gentle viewers or listeners, hello, welcome or welcome back to the Real Small Talk podcast. I am your host, Morgan, aka Morio. Thank you for being here. Today's topic that we will be talking about is Bridgerton from seasons 1 to 3 plus Queen Charlotte, and I will be talking about how I feel about each season, the pros and the cons, the best and bad moments of each season, and the overall couple, etc., etc. Let me stop. Let me stop with the British voice. Before we get all into that, let's address the elephant in the room, my shirt. If you're watching this, I love this shirt now. I used to avoid this shirt. I bought it online 2 years ago for my Montreal trip, and I thought I looked horrible in it. Yeah. But I think it was just my hair. I had a perm at the time. I was like, maybe I'm not fit for this shirt. But no, I think I look amazing in this shirt. I need to wear this more so people know I am that girl. Anyways, that is one. Number two, in honor of today's topic, today's discussion, we have brewing tea. We have a raspberry flavored tea. Yes. Yes, question it. I don't care. But it has honey in it and I like it this way. Okay? That's my kind of tea I drink. Delish. And third of all, if you are new here, in all seriousness, hello, welcome to my podcast where we talk about from topics of life advice, talk sessions about life. Maybe it can get philosophical, to my weekly obsession of a show or a movie or a book or music or drama that happens on the internet, because those are just my favorite things to talk about in general with my friends and you guys as well, who are also my new friends or friends who have been there. So, yes, that is my podcast. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're new or not. Thank you. Thank you. Let us talk about Bridgerton. Oh my God. Just to break it down for y'all, how this episode's going to play out, like, I will be talking about each season plus Queen Charlotte, and each season I'm going to be talking about the best and bad moments of each season, as well as my overall thoughts of each couple, because for people who don't know, each season is about a couple of a Bridgerton family member gets married into society, and there's a specific love trope, like from fake dating, friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, forbidden love, etc., etc., etc. So, yes, my overall thoughts of each couple and the show in general. If you've never seen the show, this is my short summary of it. The Bridgerton family is in search of love and happiness in high society during the Regency era. There is some real history in it, like Queen Charlotte and King George. King George having like a mental condition that was real. That's part of the show and part of obviously history. But for the most part, this show is very much fantasy like in the Regency era, just to give context. So yeah, for people who have never seen the show, that is the aspect. If you do not want to hear spoilers and you're somewhat interested in the show, exit out of this, watch all 3 seasons plus Queen Charlotte, and then you can come back. The reason why I'm not talking about season 4 is because I'm just going to honestly say it's my favorite season of all time of the show, and it's not even done. That's going to be a separate episode so we can keep up to date. I just kind of want to wrap everything into a bow, talk about seasons 1 to 3 plus Queen Charlotte, and then be up to date with season 4 part 2 once it comes out and everything. So yes, let us get into Bridgerton season 1. Daphne Bridgerton debuts in Regency London, and her fake courtship with the rebellious Duke of Hastings, Simon Bassett, whatever, designed to attract suitors and avoid marriage pressure. They fall in love, marry, and navigate conflict over Simon's vow to never have children, which I have a lot of thoughts on. Finally, concealing and having a son. Let's get into the cons. I did not like the Duke too much. The guy who played him, I would think he's a great person and everything, but the acting and just the character in general, I don't like moody bad boys. Okay, I think that's also a big factor why I didn't really like his character. Antony's storyline with the opera singer. I like Antony, okay? He's a great character in season 2 though, like in his own season. But in season 1, he just pissed me off, okay? I was just so annoyed at him. I know that his role and the character he is a big brother. He is the oldest. He has to take care of everybody, right? Because the whole time, or at least in the beginning, he was just trying to help out Daphne find a good suitor, but he was also picky about it. In his storyline, right, he is seeing an opera singer, but not courting her, not be-wedding her. They're just doing it. And there was a whole somewhat miscommunication in terms of like she thought he wanted her and then he didn't, and then all of a sudden he did and she also did, but then it got complicated, so she went away, found a man, comes back, she cheats on him with Antony. Antony's like, I will make this happen, I promise. And then she just ends up deciding like, hey, no, I'm gonna stay with my man. We're done here. I mean, Antony in the season, I get what he's supposed to be and everything, but just a little annoying. And also, those sideburns, they needed to go before season 2 came out, because what are we doing with those sideburns? Too much sex. Yes, this season, literally, in the first, I don't want to even say 5 minutes, it's like 2 to 3 minutes. There's a scene where we're introduced to the Bridgerton family, and then Violet Bridgerton, the mother of this family, is like, where's Antony? Cuts to him having sex against a tree with the opera singer. And also the scenes, Daphne and Simon, after their wedding and everything, they just ended up having a bunch of sex, right? I will say their first time together, after they were wed, like the first night, obviously there were some complications going on about, oh, I feel this, like we're fake dating, so I have to fake my feelings, but actually I love you. And they have this whole scene where he's like, when someone burns for another, and then they have sex. Like that build up, that declaration of love was great. And yeah, it ended up them doing it, but after that was ridiculous, and it was just a little too much. Another thing that happens in the show with the Duke's character. So, like I said before, there was a lot of sex in the show or in this season, and there will be scenes, not to get graphic, but like there will be scenes near the end of the season where he pulls out from Daphne, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of it all. But yeah, he pulls out every time and she questions it. She's like, why is this happening? And then she realizes what the Duke was doing. Now, there's a whole storyline about the Duke and his past, how his father was horrible to him even before he was born. He was horrible to his own mother. And on the dad's deathbed, right, he's just like, son, you gotta produce more children. And the Duke, he said, this family tree, this family line ends with me. Dad dies. So that was a whole thing, and why he won't produce children. And there was also a scene where Daphne and the Duke kissed, right? And not only did Antony saw, Cressida saw, and they didn't want the Bridgerton family being tarnished. So it's either he marries her or they have a duel, the Duke and Antony. They ended up trying to have a duel, right? They're on horses fighting, and Daphne gets in the middle of it. She's like, why don't you just marry me? So, people won't question what happened. He's like, the reason why I won't marry you is because I can't give you children. But really, he's choosing not to give her children because of this stupid trauma thing. And this is where I bring back the topic of the whole why I don't like the whole bad boy thing, right? Because it's just like it always stem roots from trauma. Everybody has trauma. Okay, I get it. But it's just like you could have easily told her, I made a promise to my dad that I was going to end the family line with me because he was a horrible man. Was that hard to say? I don't think so. I don't think so, love. I was so mad when I first saw that. I was like, seriously, he did all of that for what? For what? Because of a stupid promise. There's something called you can change your mind. You can change. And if anybody questions it, if anybody judges you for it, screw them. Screw them. All right. Who cares? Finding out who Lady Whistledown was. When I first saw the show, when I finished it and saw the reveal of who it was, and it was Penelope, I was just like, is this a joke? Like, are we actually saying who this is? Not a joke. Not a joke at all. But I can appreciate that they were trying to be a little bit different by showing who it is. I think just it could have been great if it marinated a little bit more up until Penelope's season, but not a big issue. We shall get into the pros. When someone burns for another, scene build up was great. Like I said before, there was a lot of sex, but that scene, the build up to them having intercourse was I didn't mind it. I was like, okay, a lot of tension built up about how they're fake dating, but they're actually having feelings. It wasn't too bad. Eloise and Daphne not knowing how children are produced. Early in the season, they were just like, how are children made? And the brothers just didn't want to answer that. And they're like, oh, have you ever been to a farm? And making jokes about it. I just love, in general, this show making children and sex. It's like an innocent thing to talk about from the women. And then and then they ended up doing it crazy with their men. It's so funny to me. Because it's just like it's obviously an innocent like question. And it's also a little funny. And then they end up doing it. You know what I mean? Hopefully that made sense. So after the whole thing where Daphne finds out how children are produced, how children are made, she connected the dots about what the Duke was doing. So one day they were doing it, right? She gets on top of him, doesn't let go, doesn't get off of him when he's about to, hit his pinnacle, right? He hits his pinnacle in her. The reason why I like this scene is because, yeah, he lied about why it wasn't because he couldn't produce children, it's because he won't. And the confusion of that, when he could have just told her about what was going on, why he won't give her children, right? Or have a family in the future. So that scene was so funny to me. Also, go Daphne. You get your power, girlfriend, because he took your power and he lied. Okay? He deserved it. The storyline between Penelope, Colin, and Marina. I keep saying Mariana. Marina. Colin, part of the Bridgerton family, he wanted to pursue Marina and they agreed to get married. And Penelope, we find out right away she has feelings for her bestie, for her really close friend, right? And she gets in the middle of it. She kind of ruins what's going on or tries to tell Colin, like, hey, she has another boyfriend. And the reason why I like this part of the season is because it's a little bit of drama, but not too much. And it's also the only time I like Penelope and Colin. Like, they were so cute and innocent, and it was like a friendship, and there is like some messiness, but later on, I start not to like them. Overall, this season was not bad. It was obviously the beginning of something great of how the show has turned out. But yeah, that season, it was very simple. It was very like in terms of the idea and the way they filmed it and shot it and the story, yes, it's messy and there's a lot going on, but comparing to like season 3, it was not as bad. My overall rating, I put a 6 out of 10. Now we shall enter season 2. We focus on Anthony Bridgerton's quest for a duty driven marriage, which becomes complicated when he falls for Kate Shamra, the protective older sister of his intended bride, Edwina. Intense enemies to lovers, angst, a cancelled wedding, and a scandalous love triangle, Anthony and Kate finally marry. Let's get into the cons. Colin being blind to how Penelope feels about him. He did say he would never see himself courting her, because they're friends. She overheard this when he was talking to his guy friends. You know how the guy talks are the when they talk about a girl, they're like, hell no, I would never date her ass. She's my bestie. Like, it's such a slap in the face. Colin, this is where I start to hate Colin, and also I start to hate Penelope, because you know why? We find out she's later whistled down, and the queen finds out. She's trying to find who it is. She thinks it's Eloise because Eloise went to the printing shop where Lady Whistledown makes her, column and everything. Ends up liking a guy there, and Penelope finds this out. Her way of helping was to make a bad written column about her own best friend. Eloise finds out it is her bestie, and they have a whole fight. Imagine your own friend did this to you with no proper explanation, right? It's just like, why didn't you just come clean or wrote something else about me instead of ruining a potential relationship I had? I can understand where Penelope's coming from. I think it's just the way she obviously went about it. And also, yeah, her thing with Colin, again, it starts to drift for me, like from liking them anymore. Because again, they were cute in season one, but eh, eh. Anthony proposing to Edwina, causing more problems between him and Kate. How the scene was playing out, he goes out to find Edwina. He sees both of the sisters, and Kate, she thought he was coming to her. Yes, Lord Bridgerton. And he's like, not you. Oh, I don't think he said it like that, but it basically was that. Like, wasn't talking to you, bitch. I'm talking to your sister, and proposes in front of her, even though they had like some sort of tensional this tension moment the night before, and it just causes more problems. As much as I like Anthony and Kate, and like this season, I really did like the season. They were really a lot more messier. If I had to really think about it, yeah, Anthony was a lot more messier than the Duke. Like the Duke, he's messy, but he just kept a secret. Proposing in front of the woman you actually want to be with is wild, wild. Anthony and Kate's kissing scene was underwhelming. Their tension scenes, they have like this strong tension, and it's a lot, it's consuming, and we feel like we're part of the scene, right? Like we're like, oh my god. And once they finally broke down their walls in a way, the wedding was called off. Everyone was like, you guys do whatever. She turns around, they look at each other, and then they kiss, and it just felt underwhelming. It wasn't too bad, but I was just like, oh, like y'all's tension scene was so much better than this. The last thing I wrote of a con is the bee scene. Anthony and Kate are outside near the garden of the Bridgerton house. She gets stung, and he starts freaking out just because there was a memory with Anthony and his father. Same place, they were outside. His father gets stung by a bee and dies. And it's a whole trauma thing. And I get it. I understand. I think it's just the way the scene was played out. It was just I laugh every time. I understand he has trauma and it traumatizes him, and he's just like, "Are you okay? Are you stung?" Props to Kate, because I would have laughed. I'm like, dude, it's fine. Why are we freaking out? I also saw online what people talking about the books for Antony's book. When she gets stung, he sucks her boob. It's like, huh? What? Have you guys seen If I Stay? There was a scene of the main girl and the guy that she's dating where she's like, oh, I got stung by a bee. And the guy was like, oh, let me help you out. Sucks her hand in front of her whole family. I'm like, what? What are we actually doing? So that's why when I heard that, I'm like, they could have easily done that in the show and they didn't, which was great. But still, this scene, seeing it on screen, I was still laughing. Cause what the cause what? What? Understand it's drama, but hey, I think it just didn't need to be there at the same time. Let's get to the pros of season 2. Messy, dramatic, slow burn. The way that this season played out, the slow burn was slow burning. Was it frustrating? Yes, at times, but was I eating it up? Absolutely. And again, I think their kiss could have been better. There could have been a better moment for it. But overall, I think the tension scenes is what is so elite about this season because, and I'll get into it right here. Like the scene of because you vex me. And then the other tension scene they have is when I think this is the most like top tier thing that a Bridgerton has ever said to their partner. There has nothing that has topped this. You were the bane of my existence and the object of all my desires. That is top tier writing to me. Whenever they have, in general, in the show, whenever they have their declaration of love or they confess their feelings and their love for each other, or there's just like this tension it is perfection. I will say that. As much as I have my thoughts on the show and how crazy it goes, their tension scenes, their declaration of love, telling each other how they feel, insane. The writing's amazing. So, and that scene in specific is in the top tier at number 1. Anthony Bridgerton, Jonathan Bailey, you did that. You ate that up. It was nothing can compare to that scene. Oh my god, the tensions they have, Kate and Anthony. It's also just the whispering that they get into. Oh my god. Anyways, the wedding scene, Anthony looking at not his own bride, not at Edwina, who, by the way, love Edwina, deserved better. As much as I like Kate, I was like, girl, get a different man. Because this man wants your sister, all right? And she was so understanding of it all. She's like, I just want you to be happy. Even though I'm upset with you, I want you deserve happiness. Like, what a queen. What a queen. The wedding scene where they're vowing to each other. He's not looking at his own bride. He's not looking at Edwina. He's looking at his sister. And this is where Edwina gets it clicked in her mind like, wait, you love my fucking sister. My last pro was them declaring their love. They just finally accepted who they are and what they are and that they should be together. Just not have this mentality of like looking out for your family. Like y'all can use your free will and be together or do whatever you want, you don't always have this, you don't have to have this mentality of like, oh, I'm the older sibling, I have to take care of everybody, I have to look out for it. No, free will for anybody, any sibling, okay? I loved Anthony and Kate in the season. And yeah, with Anthony, his development, he's still that like dramatic, annoying brother, but it's somewhat, you kind of appreciate it in a sense. Him and Kate are just so perfect for each other. They're competitive. They have this older sibling mindset and they're just dramatic, like together. It's so I eat it up. I eat it up, honestly. Did get a little bit repetitive in terms of like the formula, if that makes sense, between them. Like they have this tension scene, then they act like nothing happened. Then they have it again, nothing happened. And then to stir the pot, I'm gonna propose to your sister, stir pot again, things break off, they kiss, they do it. Kate feels some sort of like way about it, like she feels really bad, goes on a horse, gets a coma because she fell. When she wakes up from her coma, Anthony tries to propose to her. She's still on about, I'm leaving for India. She just says that a lot in this season. I'm like, girl, let's give it up. I love it and hate it at the same time. It's not as infuriating than with like the Duke, because again, I think I'm biased in a way in terms of like I don't like a mysterious bad boy, but with Anthony, he's annoying, but he's dramatic and I love it. Yeah, 8.5 out of 10 for me of season 2. Now, let us get into season 3. Hey y'all, this is Future Morgan. I'm going to redo my commentary about season 3 just because I sounded like an absolute hater when I was filming it. And I just want to be somewhat fair, even though this season was not my favorite at all. I somewhat want to give a better explanation as to why. I want to get to the cons and all that. So, yeah, let's stop talking about it and just get into it. This season centers on the friends to lovers story of Penelope Featherington and Colin Bridgerton, focusing on her search for a husband, a makeover, and her secret identity as Lady Whistledown. After a passionate romance, Colin discovers her secret, resulting in a temporary split, but they ultimately marry and have a child. And that was the recap for season 3. So let's get into the cons. My first con is Penelope and Colin in general. These two characters, the way they've progressed, was not it. Okay, first of all, we have Colin, right? In the first season, he was great. He was very innocent. He was very boyish and just cared about life and whatever. And then once we progressed up until season 3, he's a massive man whore and he's talking about all his adventures and his writing and just sleeping around until he realizes, wait, actually, I love my bestie. Anthony and Benedict, we've been knowing they've been massive man whores, right? I just kind of wish that they wrote Colin as the one who was the odd one out, the one who didn't do those things. I would appreciate him a little bit more, and I feel like it would make more sense for season 3. But also being jealous of your wife that she gets money for her writing and you don't, instead of being supportive, you give her the silent treatment. That's so mature of you. Now with Penelope, right, she's had her flaws in from season 1 and 2. Again, I liked her in season 1. Again, she was very much had the same energy as Colin. And then once we got to season 3, her walls just crashed down because of who? Colin. It comes off desperate. I don't want to say that word. I get it. I understand in a way, but at the same time, girl, get a grip. Get a grip. It's Colin. He didn't want you up until you did the makeover, up until you kissed him, right? And it's also, let's get to my next con, their first kiss. He came over to the Featherington house. They're talking, they're chit-chatting, and then all of a sudden she's just like, Colin, can you kiss me? Please, I won't ask of anything of you again. I don't know if I'll ever have my first kiss. And I could die tomorrow. And he's like, you're not going to die. And she's like, you don't know that. The fact that she had to ask him. And he was hesitant. Like, he didn't seem like he wanted to at first. Literally, after you kissed him, he's like, wait, I'm actually into my bestie. Just, ugh. The fact that this season was not even all about them. We are somewhat introduced, kind of, to Francesca Bridgerton, right? They replaced her, the actress. It's a different actress, right? But we get to see her storyline a little bit more. I liked Francesca. I think her storyline was not bad, right? But it's just it's somewhat of a new character. It's also somewhat about her, even though she's gonna get her own season. In Pride and Prejudice, even though it's a movie, Keira Knightley's character, like her sisters in the movie, they get courted, they get married right away, and we don't see them ever again. Maybe up until later on. I just kind of wish they did that with Francesca, right? Because, it's two, Bridgerton siblings getting married in the same year. But she's going to get her own season later on. So what's the whole point? Again, I like her, and I was more interested in her and John than the main couple. And that says a lot. The carriage scene. This was the worst declaration of love, confession of feelings scene out of all 3 of them, plus Queen Charlotte. Okay, let me set you the scene. So this is the night where it didn't work out with Lord Debling, I'm pretty sure, right? And she ends up leaving. Colin goes after her. This is the time after they kissed and everything, and he's going crazy for her. Gets into the carriage with her, right? And then they're talking. They're like, I have feelings for you. Do you have feelings for me? She's like, duh, bitch, I've been having feelings for you. Obviously, it ends up being a steamy scene where they do it in the carriage ride. Okay. I didn't mind that. Whatever. Like they confess their love, whatever, that's fine. But they stop at the Bridgerton house, right? They're done their steamy scene. Colin gets out, right? And all of a sudden, he's like, marry me, Penelope. Come with me to see my family. I'm sorry, did I miss the memo? You just literally figured out after our first kiss that you're into me, and then you do all this, and now you're asking me to marry you? Absolutely not. What are we actually doing? She said yes, because I'm sorry, again, desperate, desperate. She's always been wanting this man anyway. She's like, okay. She's been in love with this man. He should be working the fuck out for her. Okay? I don't know. That carriage scene, the way from the start to finish, I was like, I'm so pissed off. I hate this scene. That's all I gotta really say. Y'all already know the vibe, okay? We also got the hot air balloon scene. That scene was fucking ridiculous. Literally, the hot air balloon was coming towards Penelope. She could have easily moved. And then, oh, Lord Devling saved her. When really, like, the men pulling the ropes from the air balloon is what stopped it. I don't know. That scene was just ridiculous. I don't know why they added that. My last one's about Benedict. Benedict and Lady Tilly being in a polyamorous relationship. I love Benedict. He's like my favorite Bridgerton besides Eloise, right? And of course, we find out that he's, I think, bisexual character or a pansexual character in the show. But this storyline, I was not eating it up. I was laughing the whole time. First of all, yeah, he's been like sleeping around with guys, girls, whatever. That's fine. But getting into a polyamorous relationship, I'm like, this is fine. Like, we know where this is going to end anyway. So what is the point of the storyline? I just kind of wish we had a plot line where he was maybe in a secret relationship with a guy. That would be interesting. It would be more interesting than this polyamorous relationship he has with Lady Tilly. It was just fucking ridiculous. I don't know why that was added, but again, this whole season was ridiculous in general. So what can I really go about it? I don't I don't know. That's all my cons. Let's get into the pros. Penelope's makeover for the ball tries to talk to suitors. The 5% in the start of the show, I liked that we got to see Penelope put herself out there. I think that's great. I mean, she's always wanted to get married, but like she's never properly tried. And I think, yeah, her changing her dress from citrus colors to green, and even her makeup and everything was great. And then her clocking Colin about not wanting to pursue her, great. But it ended for like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I was like, I was eating this up, but now it was just ridiculousness after that. My next thing I wrote is Violet, Bridgerton, and Marcus. I think that's one of my favorite additions to this season is that, we've been seeing Violet just give advice and guide her children to the right direction when it comes to pursuing another, right? And that's great and everything, but she needs to be taken care of. We know that her man died and it's really unfortunate, but seeing her have this like little meet cute with Marcus Anderson was amazing. I was like, yes, like this is cute. This meet cute is amazing and I love it. I'm eating it up and it's great. And that comes to my next pro is Francesca and John. I think the parallel between Violet and Francesca is really funny because they're kind of both like experiencing somewhat the same thing. Like how there's like this quiet somewhat vibe between them and the person they're seeing, with Marcus and John. Even though with Francesca and John, like they're more like introverted, I kind of felt like the same way with Violet, but she's just more about like she's a little nervous and giddy. Those two couples eating it up, I thought they were great. But again, it says a lot because it's not even supposed to be about them. It's supposed to be about Colin and Penelope. But it is what it is. Eloise and Cressida. Them becoming friends was interesting. It was definitely a different vibe into the season. We've been so used to seeing Cressida being this mean girl, but seeing her like kind of a little bit more human and even what she was going through when it when it came to like her finding a man, she ends up being with an old man. You kind of just feel bad for her. But yeah, Eloise and Cressida's relationship was very interesting. My last pro was Lord Dibling knowing what he wants. I think he came off straightforward. He was not about playing games like some people. The sad thing is like she kind of wasted his time with a potential relationship with Cressida over nothing, just because Cressida was competition. You know what I mean? Like aside from like, hating on Penelope in a sense, she wanted to be courted, and Lord Debling was like a good suitor, like he was a good candidate. And what did Penelope do? What she does best, gets into the middle of it. This season overall gets a 3 out of 10 from me. This is the one time they kind of ruined the friends to lovers trope. This season was all over the place. It was a dumpster fire. I know I said I didn't want to sound like a hater, but like at the end of the day, I was like, what is this? What were we actually doing in this season? Let's get into Queen Charlotte. Woo! A 6-episode prequel focusing on the young queen's rise to power and her romance with King George III. It alternates between their early, troubled marriage, driven by his hidden mental illness, and their later life, where an aging Charlotte pressures her children to produce a royal heir following a family tragedy. My cons, it's very short. This is the shortest con list of each season that I have. Lord and Lady Danbury's relationship. So yes, Lady Danbury, love her. She was married to an older man. He's kind of like gross. And we just don't like him. Charlotte and George's living arrangement, first argument. So this was the part where they just got married. They went to one house, and Charlotte thought that was their one place that they're going to stay together. No, actually, I have another place I'm going to stay at. He was just like yelling at her, saying like, I am your king. You obey my rules. And she's just like, oh, right. I thought you were just George. Use that one against her because he was like, oh, just call me George. I am going to be your husband anyway. So nice, so gentle. And then he blows up at her face. Listen to me. It's like, I'm married to this man. I was arranged marriage to this man. Right. Okay. If that's how we're going to play it. Right. Anyways, my last con was what happened to Reynolds. To give context, Reynolds works for the king, and then we have Brimsley working for the queen, right? And they would converse what's going on. They have some sort of secret love affair. Very cute. We love them. We get to see another side where we see kind of like workers' point of view on how their lives are like working for royalty. But in the end, we see a shot of Reynolds and Brimsley dancing. It fades into like present time, and Reynolds disappears, and we don't get any answers to what happened to him actually. Like legit, I remember when I finished watching, I was like, what happened to him? Did he die? Did he move on? Like, where did he go? Like, what actually happened to him? What happened to the storyline with him? It's like in season 3 with Lord Debling, he just leaves half mid-season because it didn't work. I mean, yeah, of course, like the whole point was it didn't work out and he moved on, but it's just like it felt unsatisfying. But yeah, those are my only cons about Queen Charlotte. Most of them are pros. Charlotte and George's meet cute. So yes, they met at the castle of the kings, and she was trying to walk up the wall and leave them, like not attend the wedding and marry him because she doesn't know him. And he comes outside, sees what she's doing, like he reveals that he's the king, and she's like, oh. And it's just like a very, very cute moment where they're like getting along and they're conversating. When we got to see Lady Danbury and the queen's relationship, their friendship at the start, I think it was very refreshing. They're just the dynamic between these two, perfection. Honestly, they could have been lovers in another life. The hating tension between Charlotte and George. They had like this time in the show where they started hating each other. They kind of like start faking in front of everybody how they're actually feeling. Like they're not actually in love, they're actually hating each other and only being together when they have to produce children. And that was like the only time we saw them. And then it starts progressing into like, obviously we get revealed that he is, like King George is obviously not mentally well. There's something wrong. We get a linger of it, and we're mostly seeing the point of view of the queen. And I think that's what's so good about it is that we feel like we're in the same place as them. Like we're experiencing the same thing. So that's why it was just like, yeah, it is frustrating. Like, what is he doing? Does he just not like us? Like, he just secretly had to be obligated to marry us? And then it turns to seeing his side of things. And, like we got a snippet of it on her end. And then we kind of delved into his world where he is mentally ill. He's not mentally well at all. And he's forced into this marriage. He doesn't know what he's getting into, but actually she is a perfect woman for him because their relationship just made sense. And she kind of takes care of things as like this strong independent woman, um, and admires her from afar because he doesn't want her to know what's actually going on, right? He doesn't want to feel like a burden to her, which again I think is great way of storytelling. In this show, we got to see both ends. We got to see how both ends work with Queen Charlotte and King George. And just the progression of it all was amazing to see. Seeing King George's end, right? That he wants to be better, so he seeks for a doctor. The doctor gets involved, but he's obviously no help to him. Like, he's treating him horribly in these treatments, but he's just like that kind of doctor is like, no, we have to keep on going. You have to go through the hardships to get it to make it easy for yourself, which no, no. This is where, yeah, Queen Charlotte kind of finds out what's going on one night where he kind of is going having an episode and he's saying he's Farmer George. And you would think, right, would kind of freak out. Like, why is he acting like that? Like you'd be like surprised. And then you kind of go through a process of like, okay, obviously he's going through something. But the way she handled him, amazing. And then she was just like, everyone better tell me what the hell's going on because I just witnessed that. And yeah, she finds out, tells the doctor, fuck off. You done? You're not taking care of my man? I will. Because, yeah, she's the cure for his illness. Just being together. It's amazing. Plus, the actors were really great. I was, before watching the show and everything, I was judging, the declaration scene. Like, I've seen clips of them, like, where he's like, I love you. That part I still feel iffy about, but like I like it at the same time. I guess it's just like the stutter, like the movie. It's just like a little bit funny, just a little bit. Please don't be mad at me. It was a good scene. It was a good scene, but still, I was like, oh my god. I think maybe if I watched the show first, then I would have a different opinion on it. But like, just because I saw the clips, I was like, well, wait. But no, they were the actors in the show were amazing. They picked the right people for them. The way the show flowed just wraps up beautifully because we were mad, we were kind of frustrated, but then we got to see his end of things and we're like, oh, we feel bad for him. She discovers what's going on. She takes care of it so well, so professionally, and now they're happy. And it's just Lord Danbury passing away during intercourse. Lady Danbury also having a secret love affair with Lord Ledger. Lord Ledger is Violet's father, Violet Bridgerton's father. When we got to delve into like Violet and Lady Danbury, I was like, whoa, like they have connections because of the dad, because Lady Danbury got a hit with him. Lady Danbury's man passes away. Unfortunately, I mean, she was kind of happy about it. She's been waiting for him to die, which I kind of understand. This man was kind of gross, and we get that. So yeah, once he passed, she was outside one day and she sees Lord Ledger. Right? They have like somewhat of a moment, and then another time they obviously didn't get into it. They just said like, let's meet here and like go for a walk. They know that there's something going on between them. He comes to her place. He's like, I won't come in, and she lets him in, and they do it, and I loved it. It's like, get your hit. I love to see it. She deserves it. Okay, she's like, she was with a horrible man for I don't know how many years, and now she got a good man. Maybe it was a good D. I don't know. I was living for it. Obviously, when you think about, that's Violet's dad. and then in the future, like in present tense, they're friends. Seeing Lady Danbury being connected to Violet in that way was interesting and a little drama, right? And obviously, we see that Violet finds this out, right? That oh, she has like some sort of connection with him. They talk about it, and basically, and they reference it in season 3. Violet ends up forgiving Lady Danbury for what was going on between her and her dad. Like it was in the past, and he was a very lovely man. I think it's just like, was I really mad at you? No, because my mom was kind of not great. So honestly, it was fine that you hit it with my dad. My second to last pro is I just loved how the story played out for all three of these women: Queen Charlotte, Lady Danbury, and Violet Bridgerton. Like, I hopefully they took notes for like future seasons, because I ate all of it up and we only got one season. There has been rumored for a second season, but honestly, I feel like we don't need it. I think that show on its own wrapped up beautifully. I think the only one I would say is like there was like a spinoff for Violet Bridgerton when she met Lord Bridgerton. I would love to see their love story before he passed away, right? Like that would be interesting. Hey y'all, it is future slash editing Morgan again. Because I honestly fucked up on my last pro point in the original footage of filming. So here we are again. And we're just going to get right into it. I think this last pro not only applies to Queen Charlotte, but just Bridgerton overall. And I think it is a good point to make. My last pro about Queen Charlotte is the diversity discussions within this show. And I think it, again, like I said before, it does apply to not only to Queen Charlotte, but also applies into the Bridgerton universe in general. I think it is important to see these kinds of things, even with today's movies and shows. There is diversity when it comes to American culture nowadays. And I think it's so helpful to see that when it comes to Bridgerton, and the audience kind of feels drawn to it because they can see themselves in these situations when we have somebody who is a person of color, like Queen Charlotte, like the Duke, like Kate Shamra, like Sophie Beck. And not to say, not to trash, time period pieces in the past where it has just been Caucasian people. I have no issue with that. Those movies are great and all, but I, again, like with how things are now today, it is great to see on television, and bringing up the the argument of how the show's like, oh, this is not historically accurate. I think everybody knows that. Whoever's a fan of the show, or even not a fan, everybody knows that it is not 100% historically accurate. But I feel like a lot of time period pieces are not always going to get to the 100% of accuracy. There's always going to be a shift in something or a little bit of a tweak. I really like that aspect about the Bridgerton universe. I think they really have a lot of care when it comes to people of color, and I applaud them for it. I think it's really good to see in today's TV and film, and I'm just a believer of, if you're a good actor, no matter what race you are, you deserve the part. You don't have to be Caucasian, because guess what? American culture has evolved. It has evolved in terms of diversity. Again, I have no hate for time period pieces. One, it's just been Caucasian, like a whole Caucasian cast. They have been great, but within today's time, it's also great to see people of color within these kinds of movies as well. I have no problem with it at all. And I just think it's just a weak argument to say, oh, it's not historically accurate. It's like, no shit. We know that. And it's totally fine. Because for the most part, it is fantasy, and people are drawn towards it because they kind of see themselves in the movie or in the show. And I think that's what's so great about it. That's all I had to say about this pro. Let's go back to the original filmed episode. Yeah. Wow, y'all. That was for this week's episode of Real Small Talk. Yeah. That concludes my review on Bridgerton seasons 1 to 3 plus Queen Charlotte. I really do like the show a lot. I eat it up every time. I know I have my thoughts and opinions on all of them, but honestly, I get excited when I see this show. Season 4 is obviously the first time I'm watching it in real time. I've never experienced actually watching it the other times when it came out. If a show evokes emotion, talk about it. Or even a film, talk about it. Yeah, y'all, this show, man, so much, a lot goes on. I will say, I'm pretty sure I missed like a lot of things, but I just really wanted to focus on like the couples part of the show more because that's the main purpose is that each season's about a different love and a different type of love trope. So if I had to rank this outside of season 4, it's man, it used to be Kate and Anthony, as much as I love them, but King George, Queen Charlotte, number 1, 2, Anthony and Kate, 3 is Daphne and Simon, and then in 4th place, Colin and Penelope. Once season 4, part 2 comes out, I think Benedict and Sophie might top Queen Charlotte for me. We'll see though. We'll see. I don't want to say that now, but part 1 was amazing. I loved everything about it. I'll talk about it another time and fangirl about over it. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to follow this podcast on other social platforms, I'm on TikTok, on Instagram, at Real Small Talk Podcast. I hope y'all liked my review on Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte altogether. We will be talking about season 4. I promise. We're not skipping that. And yeah, I'm talking quiet because my family has come home. Anyways, love y'all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.